Zeref was known as the Black Wizard, who created different atrocities throughout his 40-year life, until it was ended at the hands of his lover. A thought once entered my mind, and that is, what if Zeref died with his family during the dragon's attack? How would the story change with Zeref being dead? And in today's video, that's what we'll learn. This is, what if Zeref died? Through Zeref's quest to revive his brother, different demons or theories are created. But, with him being dead, those things never come to be known, and the guild Tartarus isn't formed, so that would be changed. The plan of the 5 dragons sending their respective slayers into the future will still happen, just with a different character to replace Natsu. The Eclipse Gate would be changed to a type of magic the Honor made, which allows her to go to the future at the cost of the 12 Zodiac Keys. Why at the sacrifice of the 12 keys? Well, because that's how you summon the Celestial King. It makes it easier to have that show why the future-going magic is made. Zeref did help make that gate, so the change is necessary, and without that gate, there's no future dragon attack. So we'll see what happens then. Layla Heartfailure will still be the one to open it, or to use the magic, but due to Grammy being on another continent, she is forced to use more magic to open the portal to her time, thus having the same results of dying to magic deficiency. I'm going to assume that it's all the background information. So if any more is needed to be added, I'll probably have to add it in the future. Let's move on to the Zero arc. The beginning of Zero is the same, with Mavis leaving Tenril to find the Blue Skull Guild. And our easiest change here is that Mavis never runs into Zeref, because he's not alive right now, so the story will continue onward to the Battle of Magnolia. Here, Mavis found Zeref who helped the group learn magic, but instead Mavis will meet an old lady who was gathering herbs nearby. This old lady is the doctor that Ward finds to help figure out Mavis' condition. She is eventually convinced to teach them what she knows about magic, otherwise known as we progress forward to the point of Mavis using the Law spell. But how did she learn it, you ask? Well, Mavis knew of Zeref's curse, so with her knowledge she performs the black magic and, like what happened before, she is cursed with contradiction. Later on, Yuri reveals the truth about Zera, and Fairy Tail is founded, the trade war happens, and Markov is born, and Mavis' curse kills Rita, which of course Mavis takes blame for and runs away, taking more life with her everywhere she goes. 1 year later, Pretch, Ward, and Yuri find Mavis, or rather, get close enough for her to use telepathy. Yes, I'm giving up telepathy right now. Mavis then explains her curse and why she can't return to the guild. It takes time, but the 3 are soon convinced, and leave. Yuri, who has now learned of how his wife died, asks that they keep Mavis' curse a secret. Through discussion, the 3 decided that the only future guild masters shall learn the truth, and they'll tell the guild that Mavis passed away from an illness, and Pretch would become the 2nd guild master by Mavis' last wish. A grave is placed on Tenril Island, which is declared the guild's sacred ground. Years go by, and Yuri passes on. Roy leaves the guild, and Pretch does as well sometime after, but not before naming Yuri's son as the 3rd guild master. Natsu, son of Igneo, wouldn't be in this story because Zeref was the one to revive him, so he'll be replaced by another orphan child. I'll still keep the name, just to help with confusion. The child who Igneo raised will still have that iconic spiky hair, but instead of pink, we're going to go with black. His personality will be the same. My reasoning for that is even if they're different people, it doesn't mean they can't behave the same. So basically, the only thing that changes are his hair. Let's begin with the first arc. Natsu, or Natsu Black, meets Lucy the same as before. He saves her from the bad guys and takes her to Fairy Tail. Whole thing with Mako happens where they find and turn him back into a human and reunite him with his son. Nothing seems to have changed for Natsu and Lucy's team-up, so onwards to Ainswald. Similar to the original, when Happy gets kidnapped, the group saves him, Lullaby is mentioned, and Grain warns Natsu Black that she might be returning. Later on, Lucy is looking for some work, Natsu tells her to pick a job already, then they discuss teams, and Natsu and Gray end up bickering with each other. Oh yeah, before that Lucy explained the whole guild system. Loki tries to hit on Lucy, then realizes she's a Celestial Spear wizard, and runs away. Though, he soon returns, saying that he has bad news. It's Kagura. For those who know Kagura, wasn't introduced until the Grand Magic Games in the Guild Mermaid Heel, and near the end of the games, Urza revealed that she helped Kagura escape from the Child Hunters. To explain this better, Zeref was the one who gave a human form to Urza's mother, Irene, who was turned into a dragon through the use of dragon-slaying magic. Irene then had Urza and attempted to possess her, but instead left her in Rosemary Village. With no Zeref, Irene never gained a human form and was hunted down by Acnologia, and through their battle she is killed along with her child within her. So, with no Urza, Kagura is captured with her brother and will be taking the role of Urza. Kagura goes around and criticizes the behavior of her guildmates and then asks Gray and Natsu Black for help with something. At the request of Mio, Lucy goes with them to make sure Natsu and Gray behave, which we know that's impossible. The rest of this arc continues quite similar to the original, with Kagura having Urza's magic instead of gravity. I don't really have to change her fights. We get to the point where Markov talks Kageyama out of playing the lullaby flute. In the original, Lullaby was a demon in the book of Zeref. With no Zeref, Lullaby is just a flute that can cast the Song of Death. With that threat down, the group tries to eat a village, and other sideline things happen, and Happy ends up stealing an S-Class quest. The quest goes the same way in the beginning, with them reaching the island and learning the villager's curse, exploring it, and ending up finding the frozen demon. Though unlike the original, Gray isn't invisibly shaking or scared at all. Like the others, he's surprised. Why is that? Well, because this daily order is different, and wasn't the monster who destroyed Gray's village. The 3 non-islanders come by and leave, and our group is trying to figure out what this giant monster is. Gray doesn't have his emotional moment, and our heroes go to investigate why a purple light appeared. At the top of the mountain, Lucy's Celestial Spirit explains what spell is being used and that it could be affecting the islanders. The Cold Emperor appears with his subordinates and orders them to destroy the village. Also, Gray recognizes his voice. Not So Black jumps up and causes a scene and tries to attack the Cold Emperor. Gray rushes past and uses his magic at the same time as Mr. Cold, so the spells cancel out. It is then revealed that the Cold Emperor is an old friend of Gray's, whose name is Leon. More things happen and Leon vs. Gray starts. Gray questions why Leon is bothering to free the demon from its ice prison, with his response being to grow stronger than the deceased master. Gray and Leon trade blows with each other using the respective types of ice make magic. Like usual, Gray struggling with Leon's living maker magic. Even after all this time, I'm still a star pupil, and with this magic, I'll become even stronger than she was. Ice Devil. Dragon. Leon proceeds to completely demolish Gray with a combination of Ice Maker magic and Ice Demon Slaying magic. Not So Black then finds the defeated Gray and helps him to the village and inspires him to continue on fighting. The events with the village being destroyed and the villain trio being defeated goes the same, and of course Kagura comes to Lucy's rescue, until she ties both her and Happy up. Kagura declares that she's taking them back, but decides to help after seeing Gray's resolve. Natsu and Leon have their little battle, and Leon informs Natsu a tiny bit about Gray's past. As the rest of the fairies make their way toward the temple, Gray tells them about Leon's intentions of releasing the demon from the ice to gain more power from it, and after all, he is a devil slayer now. Gray then explains his past. The difference with Gray's past in this what if is that the frozen demon and the thing that destroyed Gray's village and killed his master are 2 completely different creatures. The frozen thing is a demon, and the thing that Gray hates and feels is, well, let's say it's something big, has black scales, and a hint of blue here and there. Ura and Leon find Gray, and she goes on to teach him magic. Gray learns of the demon's whereabouts, and goes after it and fails. Ura comes in and fights it for a bit before using Ice Shell, which fails to Gray's shock. Leon then wakes up and Gray tells him of Ura's death, which Leon goes on and blames Gray for, and then leaves. Back in reality, the group is attacked by Leon's followers. Kagura, Lucy, and Happy take care of them, allowing Gray to go help out Natsu. Gray threatens Leon with Ice Shell, but like before, Natsu Black stops him and goes to stop Zalti, who fixed what he broke. So Gray vs. Leon round 2 begins. Gray's fight begins with being stabbed, recovers, and punches Leon, who then recovers and does the same thing. Natsu Black chases Zalti and learns a bit about lost magic, and the barehanded brawl goes back and forth until Leon uses magic against Gray. A reminder here that Leon here is similar to the original, since he seems to always be power hungry until after this fight. Zalti starts the ritual with Natsu Black coming out, and Zalti engages Natsu in hopes to prevent him from stopping the ritual. Leon attacks Gray with his combination of Ice Make and Devil Slaying magic. Gray manages to trap him within an ice cage. Leon still uses one hand for his spells, so he isn't able to break out even with his Ice Devil Slaying magic. After all, I'm going with the greater his black tattoo is, the stronger he is. How far up is it, you ask? Not even halfway up his arm. Gray will then proceed to create an ice cannon, blast Leon, defeating him. As Gray is freezing his wounds up, a piercing roar can be heard around the island. The demon has awoken. There are a few things that could have been different during the fight, and that's the fact that Leon is able to eat ice-based magic. But as he gained it through an unknown source, Leon doesn't know its full power. It is a lost magic after all. After hearing the roar, our outside group goes up to the temple to stop the ritual. During that, Natsu Black is still fighting Zalti, who's been using Arc of Time magic, other known as anything Natsu breaks gets rewound back. Throughout the battle, Zalti reveals that he's only been using Leon to achieve his own goal of controlling the demon, and taught Leon how to use Devil Slaying magic in order to see how powerful the magic is. In the end, Zalti is knocked out by a fire dragon's iron fist. The group outside finds Toby, who's doing the ritual, and knocks him out, but are too late. Gray reaches Natsu, and as they don't know the demon's strength, they prepare to fight it. Before those two could even launch an attack, the demon suddenly crumbles away. Leon, who was nearby, gave an explanation that the demon must have already been dead. Lucy, Happy, and Natsu Black almost celebrate the completion of the S-Class quest, but Kagura explains that they still haven't cured the villagers. Well, We all should know what happens next, with the magic around the sky clearing up, and the villagers realizing that they were demons in the first place. We're moving on to the next arc. As this arc doesn't include Zeref's stuff, I don't really know how long it will be. So I guess we'll have to go and see now. Team Not So Black returns after completing the S-Class quest, but soon notice the townspeople around them keep looking at them with a pity look. They soon learn why, as in the distance you can see the destruction of the Fairy Tale Guild Hall. Or more like all of the iron poles coming out of it. Markov states that he's going to do nothing which upsets Not So Black, and Lucy goes back home to find that her team has invaded her apartment once again. Kagura explains to Lucy that guild members are staying together, and then goes on to explain what Phantom Lore is, the Wizard Sense, and Phantom's Element 4. Also about Gajia Red Fox, the Iron Dragon Slayer. Lucy is surprised, and we already know what happens here. And also, speaking of Gajia, who is still in the said city, he attacks Shadow Gear and crucifies them, which Team Not So Black finds in the morning, and an angry Markov declares war on Phantom. Fairytale goes on and attacks the Phantom base. At first, they're looking like they'll win, but after the wind elemental drains Markov of his magic power, Fairytale is forced to retreat. Oh, and Lucy gets kidnapped. Lucy learns why she is kidnapped, jumps out a window, and saved by Natsu. Back at the guild, Lucy has to be comforted by her guildmates because she's blaming herself, and Fairytale isn't able to get help from the other S-Class members. Phantom attacks with the mobile base, which fires the Jupiter cannon, which is stopped by Kagura using adamantine armor, though she's still heavily injured and can't take another blast. The guild refuses to give Lucy, and they get ready to fight the shades that Jose summoned. Not So Black and Happy go to destroy the cannon, and Mira puts Lucy to sleep and has her sent to a secret hideout to protect her. Mira attempts to pretend to be Lucy after this. Not So Black encounters the fire elemental Tortomaru, and they both realize the problem, with one controls fire and the other eats it, so their fight is at a standstill till Gray and Elfman arrive to assist. During this, Jose turns Phantom base into a mecha dinghy, in which he tries to cast the Abyss Break, a powerful spell that could also wipe out Fairy Tale. I also forgot to mention that Natsu did break Jupiter's Lacrima, making it unable to be fired. The infiltration group tries to find a way to stop the spell, and Mira, fearful of her guildmates being hurt, tries to pretend that she's Lucy and give herself up. Phantom sees through this ruse and captures her. Elfman, who is fighting the Earth Element Soul, is getting a barrage of questions about his sister Zanana, who died after Elfman's failure at a full-body takeover. His fight isn't going well until he's blasted through the wall and sees his sister Mira in the grip of the mecha. Seeing his sister on the verge of being crushed to death causes him to go into the full-body takeover. Elfman proceeds to defeat Soul and save Mira, who notices that the Abyss Break is slowing down thanks to the defeat of Soul. Gray faces Juvia and, well, wins both the fight and the girl. Kagura helps out Natsu Black and beats Aoya the Wind Element, stopping the Abyss Break. Natsu goes and rescues Lucy, who gets kidnapped again, with the rest of the group fights Jose. Kagura is the only one who can currently stand against Jose, and Natsu Black faces Gajio. Natsu's fight was tough in the beginning, but manages to beat Gajio, and Kagura is saved by a revived Markov, who takes out Jose with the Fairy Law. Lucy returns to her home and states that she won't stay here and will return to Fairy Tale. Again, because that's all the important stuff. I'm not even going to go through the Loki arc. We all know what happens. Loki is revealed to be the spirit Leo and is saved from disappearing by Lucy, gives Team Natsu some tickets, and onto Tower of Heaven. The art system was designed by Zeref to revive a deceased person at the cost of another's life, possibly the main reason for his curse. With no Zeref, the art system shouldn't be a thing, so instead I'm having it be a black magic item that's said to grant one's most desired wish. In this case, the wish to enter heaven. If we had it the old way, then a random person would have access on black magic. And a sacrifice isn't needed for this, just a lot of magic power, other known as the Ethereal Cannon. So no one is choosing who lives or dies in this case. Team Not So Black enjoys a nice vacation at Kano Resort. Kagura has a nightmare of her time as a slave and the sight of her friend becoming something he wasn't before. Lucy wakes her up, informs her of them going to the casino, so Kagura gets changed using her magic, and proceeds to join the rest. Gray meets Juvia and learns of her intention of joining Fairy Tale. During the talk, Natsu is held at gunpoint by Wally, one of Kagura's past friends. Simon appears behind Gray, asking where Kagura is, and Lucy, who's with Kagura, ends up meeting the other friend Sho, who lays out a cards that spell death. It's the same thing here, like the original, with Simon being Kagura's little brother, just so you know that. A lot of things happen with Miliana. Another one of Kagura's friends appears and attempts to break Lucy in half. Kagura quickly explains that they're old friends and soon is knocked out and taken. Happy is also catnapped. The group then recovers and gets ready to leave after Kagura's kidnappers. The Magic Council learns of the 8th Tower and who is in charge of it, other known as the council members Seagrain's supposed brother Jalal, and don't act yet because they don't have enough information. Team Kagura Rescue Squad is on their way to the tower, but Not So Black, who's supposed to smell out the location, is dealing with motion sickness due to the Dragon Slayer curse, though they do somehow find it in the end. Inside the said tower, Kagura is thrown into a prison which triggers a memory from her terrible past. After that, her old pal Sho reveals the plan for her to be a sacrifice so that the group she abandoned could rule the world as gods. Kagura then escapes and is determined to fight Jalal. Happy wakes up in a room filled with cat stuff, and Kagura is hunted down for escaping. Back at the Magic Council, who is still arguing about what to do, until Seagrain recommends using the Therion, which the Council refuses because that weapon is worse than the R system itself. That weapon may have the power to destroy a country, but I'm pretty sure a wish-granting system is worse. After all, you could just wish for the entire country to be destroyed, so I don't know if it is worse than the R system in this case. Imagine if someone wished for the power of the Theon cannon. That wizard would be far too powerful. Oh, wait, he already exists. Team Rescue makes its way to the tower by swimming, and Juvia attempted to get rid of Lucy by making her air bubble smaller. They get attacked but defeat the guards and are invited into the tower. The group runs into Kagura, who then explains her past as a slave and who Jalal is. A black magic cult who wished for the further power found out how to create a wish-granting tool known as the R system. Using slaves as sacrifices and also to build the tower would allow them to slowly gather enough magic power for its activation, and after all, they wouldn't be able to take on an S-class wizard. Kagura and her friends attempted to escape but were caught. In that battle, Kagura lost her right eye and Jalal managed to save her until being caught himself. She was then sent back to the prison, where she then attacks one of the guards and urged everyone to start a revolt. During this, Jalal was possessed by dark magic, making him different than the kind of person he once was. The revolt was going well till magic guards and wizards came to stop it. During the attack, though, Kagura's brother Simon was injured, and a giant attack comes straight towards Kagura, and to rob a former wizard of Fairy Tail uses his life to block the attack. After his death, Kagura's magic power awakens. Kagura's power allowed the revolt to win until she found a possessed Jalal, and after realizing something changed, because he did straight up kill a guy, she is attacked by him and forced to leave, or her brother and her friends would be killed. Back in the present, a crying Kagura says that she would be the one to face Jalal. The R system is explained, and Lucy questions why Kagura is made out as a traitor, which is then figured out that a lie must have been formed. Sho comes out, has a breakdown, and Simon reveals himself saying that he knew all along that Jalal was lying and chose to pretend. He is Kagura's brother, so it makes sense. All agreed that Jalal must be stopped. Natsu Black becomes a fairy, tricks Miliana, and beats her and Wally. Jalal's assassins are revealed and the game begins. Natsu attempts to cheat, but an owl man with a jetpack knocks him back down. Sho goes in and traps Kagura in a card before running off to find Jalal and face him. Natsu meets Simon, who tells him that they can't fight Fukuro, the Birdman, but Natsu, being Natsu, starts trading blows with the owl man. Jalal counts Simon as being defeated. Lucy and Juvia are attacked by Valdelis, a guy who's obsessed with rock music. Juvia is turned into a rock guy's slave, but with the power of friendship, Lucy saves Juvia and they beat him. The girls rest, and Jalal was impressed with them because they used the use and raid, which is supposed to be hard. As someone who has watched Fairy Tail a lot, I question why it was ever hard in the first place. The council votes against the Therion being fired until Seagrain reveals that Jalal is trying to gain the power of Agnolia, the Black Dragon of the Apocalypse, scaring the entire council and making them re-vote. At the tower, Natsu is eaten by Owlman, who gains his fire magic. The council decides using Therion, with the Yajima being the only one against it, and hoping that Seagrain knows the consequences of his actions. Gray's mental flashbacks until he ends up beating Fukuro. Gray collapses and Simon is happy that his little sister joined a good guild. Magic Council is preparing to fire Therion, other things talk, and we're back in the tower. Sho is defeated by a member of Trinity Raven, and Kagura learns that her armor is not working against Ikuruga because she keeps breaking them. So Kagura beats her with the regular clothing on. Well, beats her in the anime, but literally kills her in the manga, so because of that, what happens later, well, we're just going to say she's dead. Sho is told to gather the rest and get out of the tower because it's going to blow in 15 minutes, or an anime style of 5 or more episodes. I'm looking at you, Dragon Ball Z. Kagura prepares to face off with Jalal. Simon begs Natsu Black to help his sister fight against Jalal because he's just too strong. In further arcs, we learn that he's a prodigy in magic, but Natsu refuses, stating he believes in Kagura's strength. He is beaten up by her a lot, after all. Kagura and Jalal have a little talk, and Natsu is slammed up into the wall, and yeah, other things happen. Natsu goes to help her in the end. Jalal is pinned with a sword aimed at him, questioning why he does all this, and well, Jalal is someone possessed in this case because he's had a taste of power, so he claims that it's all over. Therion is finished, and Eren is activating, firing the powerful cannon onto the tower. What happens next surprises the ones outside and the council members, with the tower being revealed as a giant lacrima, which looked better in the manga. Jalal explains the tower's true form. Seagrain appears on the tower, and it is revealed that he and Jalal are both the same being, just with the magic power split in half. The Magic Council HQ begins to crumble because Ultiro used her magic to age the building, and Kagura attempts to attack a fully powered Jalal. She is forced in the crystal for the sacrifice, and Jalal claims to have loved her. Oh, well, here comes the plot. Natsu pulls out Kagura and knocks her unconscious, and Natsu goes to face Jalal. Natsu is overwhelmed by Jalal, so he starts breaking the tower, which angers Jalal, and prepares Alteris, a spell that killed both Kagura and Natsu. Kaga wants to protect Natsu, but as the spell is fired, her older brother comes out and takes the hit, with him stating to never stop smiling and to live on. Kaga cries over her brother's body, Jalal laughs at Kismet, and enraged Natsu strikes him. Natsu does something risky, which isn't surprising, and absorbs the magic from the tower, activating his dragon force for the first time, if I recall. And with the power of the dragon, Natsu defeats Jalal. Kaga attempts to sacrifice herself for the sake of her friends, even though her brother told her to live, but is stopped, and I believe Jalal went inside the crystal himself. Kaga's old friends decide to travel across the land, so they send him a fairy tale farewell. This is the end of the arc. And holy cow, this took 7 minutes. Team Natsu arrives back at the new guild, gets a tour, and meets the new members. A small talent show happens, and in the end, Loxus is pissed at the current state of the guild. Lucy struggles with wondering how she'll pay for rent, and Jet and Joy decide to attack Gagio, and then question why he's not fighting back. Loxus arrives and begins to destroy Gagio, and even attacks Levy, which Gagio blocks the attack. Loxus promises that he'll change Fairy Tail to himself. Lucy is told by Happy about a contest that has a high prize, and the Thunder God tribe destroys the Dark Guild and returns to Magnolia to help with the leader's plans. Makarov remembers when Loxus was young and kind boy and wonders what changed him so much, and after this, the festival begins with the Miss Fairy Tale contest. The girls come on stage one after another till Evergreen uses her stone eyes and turns the girls into stone. Loxus and his last 2 bodyguards appear, and he announces the battle of Fairy Tale, using the stone girls as hostages. Natsu Black is the only one excited to fight and tries to attack Loxus, who then knocks him out. The rules and whatnot are explained, and the 4 disappear, and the guildmates start to head off to find them. Markov tries to leave, but is blocked due to Freed's enchantment, preventing those older than 80 from leaving, and the statues. Ritas is tasked with finding Polaruska to help release the girls. Natsu wakes up and tries to leave, but is blocked by the enchantment. We learn why much later on. Freed forces guildmates to fight each other, and Ritas is defeated by Freed. Gray finds Bixlow and Evergreen defeats Elfman. Gray is soon beaten by Bixlow. Gagio appears and learns he's in the same predicament as Natsu and can't leave either. Natsu tries to melt Kagu, who unstatues due to her magical eye, and Mystigan enters the battle. Kagu finds Evergreen and proves why she is known as Titania, the Queen of the Fairies, freeing the other statue girls and angering Loxus greatly, who then uses the whole Magnolia as a hostage with his Thunder Palace. Levy starts to find a way to undo Freed's magic, and Lucy ends up facing Bixlow. Loki appears to help Lucy, and they both end up beating Bixlow. Loki then tries to hit on Lucy, and Levy deciphers the Freed's enchantment. Khan and Juvia are trapped by Freed in a battle enchantment, which Juvia attacks the Thunder Palace orbs and gets severely injured. Natsu Black looks for Loxus, and Gagio is seen talking to his master. Mio and Elfman find Kana, who just got defeated by Freed. Elfman tries to fight, but Freed claims he's lost and tortures him with different dark extras. After the last one being death, Mio is overwhelmed by sadness and not wanting her brother to die, regains some magic power and uses Takeover, Satan's Soul. With the arrival of an S-class wizard, Freed is soon overwhelmed and is defeated. Levy hears that Makarov is on death's door for the 2nd time, and Loxus prepares to fight Mist again. Loxus breaks through the illusions and destroys Mist's mask, and other things happen. Gaga leaves Natsu to take on Loxus so that she can help deal with the Thunder Palace. Gray awakens and searches for Eren. The guild comes together and destroys the Thunder Palace. Gaju enters the fight with Loxus and aids Natsu, but soon after, Loxus shows his true magic, and him being the Lightning Dragon Slayer. Not only that, but Loxus prepares the Fairy Law spell, planning to wipe out the entire town. Levy appears and tries to stop Loxus, but then he activates the spell, and it doesn't work. Freed appears and explains that the magic can see what is truly in his heart. A stubborn Loxus tries to continue the fight, but with the team of Gaju and Natsu Black, he is defeated. The battle is over, and Loxus has seen his mistake and is exiled from the guild. The parade happens, and Loxus sees the symbolic gesture that he created being used. Gaju is also revealed as a double agent who was tasked with learning the plans of Markov's son Ivan. Markov tries to resign, but Freed convinces him not to. Lucy meets her father again and learns how her name came to be, and a new villain reveals the light will soon be turned into black. That is part 1 of What If Zeref Died. I'm guessing that this will either be a 3 or 4 part series. Fairy Tail has a lot of arcs, and I don't need an hour-long video unless it's already put together. In between, I'll add different what ifs that aren't Fairy Tail related. Whether those what ifs been done before, I have no idea. We'll just have to see. So with all that being said, I'll see you all later.